Hey guys, how's it going? This is episode 4 of describing each tower and how good they are. And this is the Boomerang Thrower episode, and first of all, if you guys are liking these series, please press the like button because I'm enjoying them. Anyways, let's get started with the Boomerang Thrower. First of all, where's the good spot with the Boomerang Thrower? The spot where you're going to get the most shots out of him. And usually you want to put him in a spot somewhere where his little boomerangs are going to hook around. So if you put them somewhere right around here, his boomerangs will actually hook around like certain spots like over here and hook around certain spots over here. And that was lightning, just in case you guys were wondering. And you can also put him in certain spots like this where his shots will actually hook around over here, hook around mostly over here, and down here as well. And if you actually notice, his boomerangs will actually hook around and shoot outside of the range. So let's just show you that really fast. His boomerang will hook around and go all the way over here. And I hope I didn't speed through that too much. Let's send out one more and just watch his boomerang really fast, just so you guys know where and understand where to put him. And his boomerang, oh man. Anyway, see that? His boomerang hooks all the way down here or all the way over here. So just keep that in mind for placement. Now let's talk about my favorite tower in the entire game, the Boomerang Thrower. And the Boomerang Thrower has a really good popping power for the amount of money you put into it, and that's why people like Boomerang Throwers so much. They have a bunch of popping power. And now, in the first place, Boomerang Throwers do not have very good accuracy, and that's their problem. They don't have a lot of accuracy, but they do have a lot of popping power. So if you put them in a spot where you get a lot of accuracy, you're getting lots of popping power. That's why boomerangs are so good. They're hard to find a good spot where you get a lot of accuracy, but if you do, they're one of the best towers you can buy. So that's what you have to do for Boomerang Throwers. Now let's go into the upgrades. And first of all, regular Boomerang Thrower is pretty good for its popping power. It's only $400, and you can get 3 pops per throw, and it shoots just as fast as Dart Monkey. So if you hit every single bloon, which, like I said, it's kind of hard to do that, but if you did, you'd get more popping power than a Dart Monkey and all that. And then, let's go on to multi-target. Boomerangs can now pop 7 balloons each, and now this is pretty intense. Would you get multi-target just by itself? Sure, you could get multi-target by itself. If you have enough balloons coming in, I mean, it definitely depends on the level. If you have enough balloons coming in where you can get usage out of all 7 of your pops, that is perfect. You're going to have one of the highest popping powers for the low-cost tower, and that's why this guy's so amazing. He has such a good popping power for such a low cost, but he's inaccurate. So again, I keep bringing up this inaccuracy thing, but you guys have to really keep that in mind. So that if you get the multi-target, you can pop 7 balloons. So that's a lot of balloons, guys. For $600, $650, you're popping 7 balloons per shot. There's nothing that can really do that. Tack shooter maybe, but that's super duper hard. Those are even more inaccurate than them, and they have a way lower range. This guy can actually shoot once up here, once when the guys kind of go down here. He can also shoot when they go around here, in this section, and he can hit them when they go over here. So that's like 2.5, 3 spots, maybe even 4 if you want to call it, where that Boomerang Thrower can throw his boomerang and get pops. So that's why he's better than most of the other towers. He has good range, good popping power, and if you're accurate enough, if you find a good enough spot, he is amazing. So, now, would I get a Glaive Thrower? No, I would not get a Glaive Thrower. And the reason I would not get a Glaive Thrower is because you'd rather get a 0-3 Boomerang before you got a Glaive Thrower. Now, we're not going to go into that yet, but that's just my explanation. Glaive Throwers are so good at popping that you're never going to get enough popping power out of your Glaive. You almost never, in the low levels, get balloons where they come by in such tight packs that you can have your Glaive actually disappear before it comes back to the boomerang. Therefore, you're wasting popping power. So unless you're really late game, where there's tons of balloons, you really don't want to get a Glaive Thrower. So that's just my opinion right there. Please do not get a Glaive Thrower until you get some sort of other upgrades. And I'm going to talk about those in just a little bit. Anyways, so that's the Glaive Thrower. It can pop a lot of balloons. I think it can pop something like 15 balloons per shot. So that's a lot of balloons for one shot, and that's hard to get in one little section or one little area. Yes, it is possible, but you really, if you miss or something like that, you're missing a lot of pops per shot. So that's the bad news. and that's what you don't want. You don't want to miss, and then you're wasted 14 pops. You know, you want to use all of your popping power. That's how you get good. So besides that, this is a very interesting upgrade. Very, very interesting upgrade. I think you guys know about this. Now this is one of those weird upgrades that, like, most of the time you're like, dude, that thing sucks. Why would I ever use that? And then once you really realize how to use it, you're like, OMFG. These are really freaking good. First of all, how much popping power can you get with one Glaive Ricochet? Now this is the best popping power per cost in the game for this upgrade. If you get this upgrade, Glaive Ricochet, now you're talking $400 plus $250 plus $300. So you're talking about $1,000 plus this. You're roughly $2,000, and you can get 10,000 pops per shot. Per shot, 10,000 pops. Now, are you going to get 10,000 pops every shot? Absolutely not. Almost never. You never get the full 10,000 pops unless you're doing some regen farming ridiculousness thing. It's hard to actually see 10,000 pops. And I noticed, I actually checked in the forums, people said that's how many pops it is in the forums. I'm not exactly sure. I never actually tested out how many it is. I wouldn't even know how to do that. I just know that they do end after a while. It is not infinite. It is a limited amount, and it seems like 10,000 seems like a really fair number to use. So, Glaive Ricochet, when do you use it and how do you use it? Now, you don't normally put this in the beginning of the map. Usually what you want to do is use Glaive Ricochet towards the end of a game when you have a bunch of BFBs and Moabs, and you usually have something like a bunch of Moab Maulers to pop all the Moabs, and then this guy is good for regular bloons, anything like ceramics and below, especially below ceramics. Now, he only works if there's like a line of bloons all the way throughout the entire game, so that's the weird thing. Now, let's just see how this is gonna work. But I mean, I'm just gonna use him, and they just go right through everything, and they just jump to the next level of balloons. And now you can pop a ton of balloons with just this one guy if you just look at this. And now if you get one or two of these things, I mean, you're gonna get a lot of pops out of this. So this just kind of looks cool if you ask me. Usually, like I was saying before, you want to see how they're like kind of like jumping around randomly. Usually you don't want that to happen. What you normally want to happen is put them in some spot sort of like this, like right over here, and have him hit the last balloons and then go all the way through and jump to the very beginning of the balloons. That's usually what you want to do with these guys. And usually you can put like 3 or 4 of these next to each other, or use some sort of combination of towers, like an ice tower or a glue tower, and that'll help them jump to the balloons next to them. And that'll give you a lot more popping power than just having them out here just in the middle of nowhere doing nothing. Now normally I would say don't put them like right here, because what happens is you can actually throw a boomerang and it won't know which direction to go, and sometimes you can waste the popping power doing that. Usually when I put them in the back here is because you're going to shoot the front balloons, and they're going to go all the way through and follow all the way down to the very, very end, or the very, very beginning for this case. And that gets like the main max popping power out of these guys. So yeah, I mean, they're really good, but they're really hard to use. You have to find out exactly where to use them, and they're only good for certain conditions when you have a lot of balloons right next to each other. So now, for example, level 63, really, really freaking good. Level 78, really, really freaking good. Other levels, maybe not so much. They can get 10,000 popping power, but they can also have 7 popping power per shot. So that's the thing, you gotta use them well, or else you're just gonna get a bunch of wasted popping power. So think about that when you're using them. You don't want to waste it all. Next thing is the Glaive Lord, and I'll use a Glaive Lord right here. And the Glaive Lord is this guy right here, and he costs 9,000, and he has these little glives that go around, and he actually got buffed. He used to actually be a lot worse. He costs like 2,200, and the reason why I did that is because each Glaive could only pop a balloon once, and they changed that and they buffed it so he could actually pop these balloons as much as he wanted as they go around. And I definitely like this Glaive Lord a lot better than the other Glaive Lords, even though the price was, they buffed him and they increased the price like 4 times to the amount. But this guy is pretty decent versus Moabs. Depends on the level, on how you're going to use him. I mean, if you have balloon circles or something like that, he's really, really good. If you have a level like this, I really wouldn't use him as much as you guys might. I really don't like Glaive Lords that much unless certain conditions come about where I can use them very, very well. I definitely prefer Super Monkeys or Moab Maulers over Glaive Lords, just because Glaive Lords are not amazing versus popping Moabs. If you get like 3 or 4 of them, yeah, they can be pretty darn good versus BFBs and Moabs, but I really don't feel like just going Glaive Lord massing and then having some bloons get by. So what I usually do is, if I'm going to make him, I usually make like one of them. And I usually make him for mainly the 10,000 popping power, which is a 3-0 guy, but he also gets the extra Glaive Lord edition of camo detection and things along those lines. Yes, Glaive Lord does have automatic camo detection. He can hit camos. He can pretty much destroy level 70 by himself. So that is, level 70 is the million camo rainbows, so he can pretty much beat that level by himself, just in case you guys wanted to know. With a little bit of help usually. I mean, usually you need a little bit of help for that. But the bad thing about the Glaive Lord is his Glaives only go in one direction, which if you could switch his direction, he'd be so much better. He'd almost be overpowered though, if you could switch the direction. And the sad thing about his Glaives going this direction is there's almost no levels where the balloons go around this way, where his Glaives actually can do more popping power. Usually balloons go from here, and they kind of end over here, if that makes sense. Whereas Glaives are always going with the balloons instead of against the balloons. And if you go with the balloons, you're going to get less popping power than going against the balloons. And that's why levels like balloon circles and stuff like that, you can get a lot more popping power out. And now Glaive Lord, would I use him? Not really, like I was saying, I don't really use him that often, so I don't like Glaive Lord that much. He can be useful, especially in a lot of daily challenges, and camo detection is always nice. Let's switch over to the other side, which, well here, let's talk about one more thing really fast. These two upgrades are completely useless when you have a Glaive Lord. Sonic Boom and Red Hot Rings, because he automatically has frozen and lead detection or popping ability. So those don't even really matter. That's just useless upgrades, which I can think is kind of stupid. The next thing is Sonic Boom, which can pop frozen balloons, and this is self-explanatory. If you have an ice tower and you have Boomerang next to the ice tower, use it. And then this is kind of self-explanatory too. If you need to pop lead balloons, get this upgrade. But usually what you're going to end up doing is using these two upgrades to get to this upgrade, which is Bionic Boomer, which is my favorite upgrade in the entire game. This is the best tower in the game, I think. And I think it's just so amazing because it has such a fantastic popping power, and it doesn't even matter about the accuracy anymore because he pops so much that accuracy, and he shoots so fast that accuracy doesn't even matter. And that's what makes the Boomerang, the Bionic Boomer, so good. Is that the main problem with the Boomerang is that he misses a lot. But if you shoot so fast that it really doesn't even matter if you miss a couple balloons, it totally gets rid of the negativity of him being inaccurate. So that's why the Bionic Boomer is so good. A lot of people don't really understand why the Bionic Boomer is so good. They just think, oh, he can shoot so fast. No, that's why. It's because his inaccuracy is totally limited from this upgrade, and that's why he's good. So Bionic Boomer, favorite upgrade in the game, but Bionic Boomer by itself usually is not that good, to be honest. You only get 3 balloons per shot, and I mean, you can usually pop quite a few balloons, but I mean, you're not going to pop everything. They're all just gonna, all your boomerangs are gonna explode or die too fast. And then if you get multi-target, it definitely helps a lot, but it's still not completely awesome. But if you get Glaive Thrower with the Bionic Boomer, that is a very intense upgrade. Not only does Glaive Thrower increase the popping power, it also increases the attack speed, which is kind of weird if you ask me. It increases the speed even though it doesn't really say so. It does, trust me. It increases how often it shoots per frame, just a little bit. Not per frame, per second. I mean, it lowers the amount of frames required for it to shoot again, if that makes sense. And everything is based off frames. I think there's 30 frames per second, if I'm right. And if it shoots like every 30 frames, that means it shoots 1 time a second, if that makes sense. And if I'm wrong, correct me on this, because I don't really go on the forums very much, and that's usually where people talk about this. They don't really know off their head. They just go on the forums and read something, and they're like, oh, I'll agree with that, and I'll just use that as my backup if I said it on the forums. So usually people don't even know or tested it. They're just like, oh, somebody said that on the forum, so that must be right. And sometimes it's not right, so you gotta be careful. You don't always want to trust people because they can be wrong as well. So I'm just going from my basic knowledge of frames per second, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, so you get a speed upgrade with the Glaive Thrower, and that is just freaking amazing. You not only have Bionic Boomer, which shoots fast, you also have a Glaive Thrower, which can pop pretty much a lot of balloons. I mean, his Glaives almost never disappear, surprisingly. I mean, yeah, he doesn't have infinite popping power or anything like that, but he does have a lot of popping power, guys. A lot. So that's pretty much it for the Bionic Boomer. I'm not really going to go into too much. I'm just going to say he is my favorite tower by far. And then we have this upgrade right here, which is Turbocharged. Surprisingly, I don't like Turbocharged at all, and that's because I don't like using abilities for the most part. Abilities just annoy me because I feel like you're wasting it's precious popping power. I feel like if you get 2 or 3 of these guys, it'd be better off than getting a turbocharge. And the reason I think that is because if you use a turbocharge, you can waste it and then be like, oh, okay, I beat round 63, but then round 64 I lost. So you're kind of like sacrificing your popping power and stuff like that to beat one level, and that's not what I like to do. I like to have my towers be able to beat every single round by themselves without me doing anything. And now some levels require quite a bit of micro and stuff like that, and that's what you want to limit, is micro. If your towers can just automatically win, that's the easiest way to do it. But if you have to click abilities and then do this and then click road spikes, that means you're not doing as well as you probably should be. And some levels, like I said, like Death Alley and stuff, you need to micro because they're just so freaking hard. But, I mean, you'd rather not, obviously. So that's really it for the Boomerang, my favorite tower in the entire game. I think a lot of people like the Boomerang Thrower, and I hope this was a good enough guide or a good enough explanation of the Boomerang Thrower for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you do, please press the like button. I would definitely appreciate that. I think that's everything I can talk about. So yeah, if you're going to get a Boomerang Thrower, what you want to do is get a 2-3 Boomerang Thrower. And the first thing you want to do is not get a 2-0 Boomerang Thrower. Usually you want to get a 0-3 or 1-3 Boomerang Thrower before you get the 2-3 Boomerang Thrower. And that's just because the Glaives have so much popping power that you're probably not going to need it and you're just going to waste it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy the future videos of this series. Sorry, thanks for watching.